To start with, I will share some of our ideas that we at iGMS gathered as trends and suggestions. Since we do communicate with hosts on a daily basis, we know what they have in mind and what actually they consider the trends to be in 2021. So we have combined 4 main trends, and I will just name them for you and try to suggest what you can do about them. First one is that domestic travel will remain robust. And as you might see, this trend doesn't show any signs of slowing down. What does this mean for hosts? That means that, of course, hosts should be making their offerings more attractive to domestic travelers in 2021. How to do this, you might ask? Well, firstly, you need to update your listings and, if there is a possibility, amenities as well. For instance, domestic travelers tend to book longer stays. So you can make sure to provide a variety of entertainment options so guests at least won't get bored. You can make streaming services like Netflix available at your vacation rental. You can install a home cinema system or add sports equipments for home workouts. So there's a whole lots of ideas, but please make sure that this all caters to domestic travelers. Secondly, you might think of making your property family friendly and pet friendly. Well, also, since people are traveling for a long time, usually they embark on a journey with their kids or their fluffy friends, or actually both. So if it's not yet transformed, consider transforming your rental into family friendly. Thirdly, what you can do is arrange a comfortable workspace because, as you know, the work from home trend seems to be another popular thing with employees all over the world. And there is a survey that states that 72% of workers want a remote office model moving forward. Therefore, these workations are unlikely to become a thing of the past anytime soon. So if you're looking to target vacationers, you might want to arrange a comfortable home office and, of course, enhance your Wi-Fi connection. And lastly, here, you might want to highlight the upgrades in your amenities, because what's the point of making some upgrades if you don't market them properly, right? So this was the first trend. The second trend that we recognize is that guests will continue searching for rentals with enhanced cleaning procedures. And well, that's also obvious because of COVID pandemic that we have currently, and the importance of thorough cleaning cannot be emphasized more. To elevate your property cleaning, you might consider hiring a professional cleaner or even a cleaning service that specializes in vacation rentals in particular. Also, provide information about your cleaning procedures in your listing, since, well, this is an important deciding factor for your guests. And don't forget to show how immaculate your vacation rental is in your property photos. The third trend that iGMS clients recognize is flexibility. That will also remain crucial in 2021, because in uncertain times, when the things are really hard to predict, flexibility has become really vital. So what can be done in terms of flexibility? First is providing a self-check-in option so that your guests can arrive at any time that suits them the best. The other plus for you is that you won't have to meet your guests in person. Another thing is you can set a flexible cancellation policy, and I know lots of hosts were already doing this during 2020, and I believe this is another year that it's a good idea to use a flexible cancellation policy. And lastly, you can turn on instant book to enable last minute bookings, although some hosts don't really like this option. Still, it generates more bookings after all. So you might want to consider it. And the last trend from us is the usage of vacation rental software and other tools that will help you to automate all your daily activities. During the pandemic, many hosts took the plunge of going beyond Airbnb and trying other OTAs to increase visibility and reach, which is quite understandable, right? So relying on one channel is not possible anymore. Therefore, using a channel manager or vacation rental software truly became essential in 2020. And we believe that those tools are inevitable in 2021 as well. Another factor that also that also influences is fierce competition. During the COVID-19 pandemic, this competition became even stronger, and also hosts limit their budgets and cut their expenses. Well, not anymore maybe, but during the beginning of this pandemic, we made a survey and lots of hosts were cutting expenses. But nevertheless, according to this exact survey, most of the hosts were not actually considering cutting on automation. To be exact, more than 71% of hosts stated that they will continue using vacation rental software even during the pandemic. So in 2021, using PropTech will definitely remain crucial for business scalability. And I will just mention a few benefits that vacation rental software will offer hosts. Vacation rental software like iGMS, for instance, will automate your guest messaging, reviews, cleanings, team management tasks, and, well, basically most of your regular operations. You will be able to create listings on numerous OTAs and streamline the process of their management. And after all, consequently, you will be able to increase the productivity without expanding your team, which will help you also reduce costs and increase your revenue. And today we do have a special offer for our listeners. We offer in a promo code Club10 for using iGMS that will save you 10% on iGMS Pro subscription. This promo code will be valid for 1 month starting from today. And, well, if you want to copy this and use it later on, you might go to my bio and just take it from there and use it during the sign up. And that would be all our 4 trends that I wanted to share with you today. And we will be moving forward, and let's hear what other panelists have to say about today's topic. Since I know that Julie has 3 a.m. at where she is, so I will ask to this online stage Julie first. Julie is, again, the author of $1 Million Hosts, and we are very honored to meet you here today, Julie. Welcome to this online stage.
Wow, thank you, Ina. It's terrific to be here. And I tell you what, I have got caffeine in my cup at the moment. It's 3 a.m. I just have to firstly say I just love the way that you pronounce host as hast. So I am the author of $1 Million Hast. But Ina, my claim to fame, as I would put it, is that I have built up a pretty successful business in the short-term rental industry in Australia. So I'm in Queensland, Australia. I was able to build up a portfolio of 130 properties within a 2.5-year period, and was able to generate over $8 million of income on Airbnb. So super successful. With a little bit of foresight, 6 months prior to COVID, I was able to sell that business. I wish I could say I have a crystal ball. I wish I could tell you the future of travel in the short-term rental industry in 2021 being the topic of this room. I could look into my crystal ball, but I'm super excited to join everybody up on stage. I cannot believe that, Ina, you got Jasper Rivers, Eric Moeller, and Richie, especially. Richie, you've finally made it to Clubhouse, my friend. I'm so proud of you.
I was just saying that this is my first Clubhouse and I'm so nervous right now.
Oh, you will not be nervous. I tell you what, there's no one to be nervous about. We're all friends in this room. And I was just in a room just prior to this one with, there's a couple of people in the audience, Jim, TJ, Kyle, there was a bunch of us. There was about 40 of us in that room, and we were all super excited about iGMS putting on this very, very first room. Ina, we have brought a little party crowd into the room tonight, and I just want to congratulate you because you're already at 66 people in this room. So Ina, obviously I love Clubhouse. I'm addicted if I'm up at 3 a.m. in the morning on here. But I would just say to the audience, please, as you're listening to these experts speak, who are it's very rare to get this bunch of people together. And Bryndee, I haven't met you yet, but please make sure you do them a big favor. The best thing you can do to appreciate what is being spoken about on the stage today is tap on the profiles, follow the moderators, and then you'll find a little bell next to the follow button that will be give you an alert when these people are speaking. Always, sometimes, or never ever. So let's do Richie from PriceLabs a favor and get him more than 13 followers today. That is the challenge. So let's see if we can double that number. There's the challenge to the audience. But Ina, I'm here for you. If you need any help with moderating, you're doing a fantastic job, but please just make sure you don't kick yourself out of the room because you are the only moderator at the moment. That could be, yeah. So if you do need to make anyone else a mod, just jump on and make one of the other speakers a mod just as a safety mechanism. Okay, I will put the mic down and pass it back to Ina.
Great, Julia. Thank you so much for this introduction. And by the way, great idea to make you all moderators, which I will be doing just right now. And I'm happy you were able to join us, and that even though you don't have a crystal ball, I'm sure you will have something to share along that you think might be the trends for a hosting community during this 2021. And yeah, I also suggest that our listeners can definitely should follow our moderators. And Julie, thanks for noticing this as well. I think we might also hear what Jasper has to say, and maybe you, Jasper, have a crystal ball, know what will be going on in 2021.
Well, first of all, I'm impressed that Julie can get up so early in the morning to jump on Clubhouse.
I'm just here to make sure that you got here, Jasper Rivers, because you often promise me that you're coming to Clubhouse, but obviously Ina has something that I don't. So I'm just here to check up on you.
All right, awesome. Yes, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball unless I would check, but what I can tell you is a couple of things. Like, number one, I think the short-term rental industry is really going to boom in the next few years because I've actually traveled quite a bit in the last couple of months. And what I've noticed is the hotels are just empty. Nobody wants to stay in a busy hotel with like 200 rooms. But the Airbnbs are oftentimes they're fully booked. So there's a lot of people staying at short-term rentals. I think that trend is going to be accelerated by what happens with COVID. Another thing I'll mention is that I read some stats on what people are planning for this year. I read that 92% of Americans are looking to travel this very year. So pretty much everybody wants to travel. So I feel like there's a lot of pent-up demand. Everybody wants to travel, but people don't want to stay in crowded hotels. So that's some bright. There's a bright future for the short-term rental industry, I believe. As far as the trends, I think you already mentioned a number of things, right? It's local travel, it's catering to pets, families, Wi-Fi, comfortable workplace. I think that's all true. I also think that people are looking more and more for unique experiences for two reasons. Number one, when you're traveling locally, the environment or the area that you're staying at might not be as exciting as when you're jumping on a plane and you're traveling to like Australia or something, right? Where Julie is. Because that's an experience in itself. So if I travel to Australia, I'm gonna be so excited about the crocodiles, the koalas, the sharks, the spiders, and all those dangerous animals, and drop bears, of course. Julie will explain later what that means. But it's an experience in itself to travel to an unfamiliar place. But when you're traveling a couple hours from your home, then you might, you want something, a property that's a bit different. Just to give an example, I actually did this myself, and I live in Barcelona. And instead of traveling internationally, I was looking
Jasper,
for a place.
Jasper, sorry, I'm going to interrupt. Are you hitchhiking at the moment? Because it sounds like you're in the middle of a highway. Are you trying to
Yeah,
with your
that's true.
thumb out?
That's true.
That's right. Yeah, I was combining this Clubhouse session with a little walk around the neighborhood and get some vitamin D. But can you guys hear me well? Or?
It's a little bit difficult, to be honest. You keep cutting in and out, and then there's the cars that keep whizzing past. It sounds like you're about to be run over.
All right, let me shelter here from the wind. Is this better?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So the thing is, like, when you want to book a place nearby your home, you just don't want to have like a cookie cutter, type of property. Like, you want it to be a little bit special, a little bit different, because you're already familiar with the environment, the area. So that's one thing. But then the other thing is, I feel like a general trend that's going on as well with the rise of especially platforms like Instagram is that it seems like people don't want to stay somewhere unless it's Instagrammable, right? And especially the younger crowd, right? And I think that's a trend that's going to continue too. So I think we as hosts, we all have to ask ourselves, how do we make our property, how do we make what we do as a host, how do we make that different than what everybody else is doing? I think that's going to be more and more important in the future. So those are my 2 cents.
Thanks, Jasper, for sharing this. And I'm thinking about how else can hosts make their property more unique and to provide more unique experiences. And I was just wondering, maybe Bryndee can add something here. What do you do to make your amenities more unique? Maybe you provide some unique experiences as well. Can you please give your experience to us and share your thoughts on what's going to be 2021 for hosts look like? Bryndee?
Thank you so much for having me. And honestly, I want to echo everything Jasper said. In fact, our business is Loma Homes, and we specialize in unique vacation experiences, basically. So in fact, our logo or our tagline is "Don't just stay, experience." So we look at the local culture and figure out what it is that people are going for and how we can make that experience even better for whatever the purpose is for travel. So right now we are in Orlando and Destin, and we do very extreme Airbnbs or vacation rentals in Orlando specifically, because it's right by Disney World. So in fact, right now I'm sitting in the middle of a house that's being turned into a dinosaur house. And we work with theme park contractors who build out like haunted houses and theme parks and parade floats and all kinds of unique things. And they actually create a fully immersive house with me where you're actually sleeping inside of a spaceship, or you're sleeping underneath a dinosaur that roars. And we have special effects and fog machines and sound effects and lights. So we go a little bit to the extreme. Yeah. So we go to the extreme. You don't have to even go that extreme, but we have found that there is just such a need and there's such a desire for people to have experiences while traveling. And that's exactly what we cater to. And honestly, it's been going pretty well. And I think that post-COVID, that's exactly what people are wanting. Obviously, like Jasper says, the hotels are still relatively slow, but people want actual houses. People want to be able to still be separate. And if they're going to travel in a group, it's better to have a house. So we do larger properties, like 6 to 9 bedrooms, and you can still be separate from mass crowds. As far as trends go, I think there is a lot of pent-up people wanting to travel. Our properties are already starting to see an increase. In fact, in February, which is a low month, we saw a 200% average increase in bookings and a lead time of 90 days. And so typically over the last year, we've had a lot of short-term bookings because you didn't know what the future held. But the fact that people are starting to book farther in advance, they're getting more confident in their travel plans. and in the direction that COVID's going. So that is awesome. And not only are we getting an increase in bookings, but we're also getting an increase in the booking value. And in February, we saw about a 60% increase. So I don't think it'll continue to grow necessarily that trajectory, but I think right now we're getting to the point where people are feeling more confident with the immunizations and some major changes that we'll gradually see it increase. And then as regulations change, like once international travel opens up, we'll even see spikes further. So a lot of it will depend on what the regulations are, but people are wanting to travel. We just have to provide that opportunity and optimize that experience for them when they're ready.
Wow, 60% increase. That is terrific, of course. And what you're saying about the extreme BNB experience is also sounds like a lot of fun. A lot of fun, Bryndee.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. And in fact, I've got a business partner, Jeff, who's on this as well. I'll invite him if he has anything to add. He does a lot of our bookings. I design our houses, and he does our actual booking management. So I just invited him to speak. I don't know, this is Jeff's first Clubhouse too. So welcome, Jeff. Do you have anything to add to that?
Hi,
No,
Jeff.
I think you nailed it, Bryndee. And the only thing, I would add is in the UK, Canada, it's just for our area, we see that that's kind of the main areas that are traveling to Florida. And both of those countries are down 68% to 80% respectively in terms of their travel. And they usually make up about 10% of our market. So I think that we're seeing enormous amounts of increase from interstate travelers. And then, like you said, from international, that's just a whole nother thing that's going to add icing to the top. And I agree with Jasper. There's just an enormous amount of pent up demand for travel. So I think we're going to see a gradual increase through 2021. And then, in fact, we may even see an overcompensation in 2021, and maybe it normalizes for 22. Nobody has a crystal ball, but excited to see what comes this year.
Awesome, Jeff. Thanks for sharing your expertise as well. And yeah, as you might see, all of you might see, we do have optimistic expectations. And I wanted to ask Eric if you have optimistic expectations for 2021, and what do you see the trends that are coming our way? Can you please share your experience and your vision?
Yeah, of course. And thank you for having us all on here. This is an awesome room. I think, I agree with what everyone is saying right now. So I think my value add to this conversation, on top of how unique our stays need to be moving forward in 2021 and 2022, is I think 2021 is all about, it's the year of the brand. So I think in our opinion and what we do with our company is really help hosts, go from the host position to a hospitality brand. I think this year is all about solidifying who you are, what business are you in, who are you, who do you serve, and how do you serve them. So I think this year is all about the brand. So I agree with what everyone's saying, that unique stays are more important than ever to bring to the industry. But I think on top of what the guests are looking for, they're really looking to identify with the host. They're really looking to identify with the property. So I think right now what we're noticing is the brands that are really focused on clear guest avatars. So understanding who they serve, and then understanding what problems they are solving for their guests. So what travel problems are they solving? And then how do they make that a unique experience for that specific guest? And then, of course, rolling in the unique factor, your personality, the identity of your identity in the properties. I think this is extremely important for everybody, hosts of all sizes, regardless if you're running 1 or 100 units. This is extremely important. I think this is what guests are looking for, and we're seeing that in trends now. We talk to hundreds of hosts on a weekly basis from all around the world. And one trend that we're noticing is that everybody's moving into creating unique stays. But what's interesting about all these new business models that are being brought to our industry is that these unique stays are really they're solving the host's own problems. So what I mean by that is these new models and these new properties that are unique to the industry are pure identity. It's a reflection and identity of the host. So I think hosts who can focus on getting clear on their brand, getting clear on who they serve, why they serve them, but then also creating something that's unique to them that reflects their identity are the ones that are going to really stand out and thrive in our space. I think hosts that are, for many years, we just kind of focused on getting properties, throwing, cheap furniture in there and tossing it up on Airbnb and hoping for bookings. I think the trends that we're seeing now is that guests are really seeking interesting properties. They're really seeking properties that have unique identities to them, but then also they're seeking hosts that they can connect with. So I think this is really going to show who stands out over 2021 and 2022, and regardless of size. But I think this is the year of brand. So if anybody, you take anything away from this conversation, is really just getting clear on who you are, who you're serving, what guests are you serving, and then how are you serving them. And then if you're tossing everything else that, Jasper just talked about, Jeff, and I'm sure what Julie's going to get into as well, on top of this, you as a hosting business will definitely thrive this year. So, yeah, to summarize that, this is the year of the brand. So focus on your brand, focus on your identity, and speak to the guests that you want to serve.
Awesome, Eric. I can't agree more, because knowing your target audience is essential. And building a brand, of course, is another trend that we're looking at. As for building a brand, I'm sure that Julie would be someone who has something to share regarding building a brand. So maybe, Julie, you can share some insights on how other hosts can build their brands more efficiently. I'll appreciate your jumping in conversation.
Yeah, of course, Ina. Yeah, that's I guess building a brand. The first thing you've got to do is you've really got to assess your own situation and decide, what sort of brand do you want? What sort of reputation do you want to build in the community, and exactly where you see yourself. So it's a lot of self-assessment. It's a lot about thinking about who is your guest avatar, who are you best serving, what are your ideal properties, and making sure you've got a very clear understanding of all of those things. That's the very first step. The second step is to really put it out into the industry and tell everybody who you are and what you're doing. It's no time to be shy. It's no time to be coy. Take it from the queen of marketing here and self-promotion, because every chance I get, there is a book in the background of my Zooms. There is there's certainly, if you look on my profile, I'll be telling you all of the achievements that I've got. But it's time to really shout it to the world, who you are, what you're doing. And I was saying the other day, if you've got a name badge, if you have a uniform for your business, make sure you wear it with pride. And even when you're in the grocery store, you just never know who you're going to come across. You just never know who you're going to interact with. That may be a property investor that might want a professional property host to look after their property. So that is one little tip. The second thing I would say is that you need to be giving as much value and as much free information and giving to your community. And a couple of ways to do that is, firstly, let's talk about Clubhouse. We are all on here right now. It is new for a lot of us. And yes, Richie, I am looking at you, buddy, with your little party popper on your photo. That just simply means that Richie has been on this app less than a week. And in fact, he has mentioned that this is his very first Clubhouse experience. But what I would suggest is that just very quickly, building your brand through Clubhouse, make sure your profile is strong. And yes, I am checking out everybody's profile as I'm sitting up on stage. Make sure that you tell in that first 3 lines of your Clubhouse profile, shout your achievements, put in something interesting. I talk in my profile about feeding crocodiles being my very first job. Make up, don't make it up, but find something, dig deep, find something that's super interesting, that's going to capture attention and get people to read more on your profile. Then tell them everything that you do. You need to be able to say what areas, what location in the world that you're based, what your ideal guest avatar is, what sort of properties you're chasing. Don't be afraid to have a call to action on your profile, and actually saying to people, I'm a professional host. I'm based in Miami, Florida, and I have a strong demand at the moment for waterfront mansions. I'm looking for a unique waterfront mansion with a swimming pool. Please, if you know an investor that has one who would be considering getting a better return on investment, make contact with me. Make sure that your profile also has a link to your Instagram or your Twitter. Instagram seems to be the way that everybody connects off Clubhouse. So direct messaging, invite people to direct message you, and I can tell you there are deals being done all over Clubhouse just purely by making sure your branding and your marketing is strong on the Clubhouse app. So I hope that's kind of what you're chasing, Ina, but yeah, I just think that at the moment, the future of travel in the short-term rental industry being the topic of this room, guys, the first step is make sure everybody, including your Clubhouse followers, know who you are, who you serve, what your message is, and exactly how people can help you. How can we help you succeed in this business? Because this industry is all about support. It's all about encouragement, and it's all about, I guess, lifting each other up. And that's what this room is about. I'm looking through, there's some familiar faces in this room, but there are also some newcomers to the industry. If you are just brand new to the industry, please don't be shy. Please make sure that you connect with anybody that resonates with you. And, we're all human. We're all, yes, you might hear some amazing success stories, but please connect and let's help each other out. But get that brand, make it strong. So, all right, Mike is back to you, Ina.
Thank you, Julie. Again, some terrific tips from you, and I can't agree more that wearing your marketing hat is really important in every business, and especially in short-term rental business during the pandemic that is hopefully ending soon. And for those who recently has joined, I will just announce that we're talking here about the future of travel and the short-term rental industry with our amazing experts. And I invite all of you, our listeners, to follow our moderators and to stay in the know on other events that are upcoming with these moderators. And we are moving to Richie. Richie, we want to hear something from you regarding the trends that you are foreseeing, and probably you might be able to tell us a bit more about pricing and pricing automation, since you are the founder of PriceLabs.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ina, and thank you so much, Julie, for all the shout outs quite a few times here. So, hey guys, I'm Richie. I'm the co-founder at PriceLabs. If you're not familiar with PriceLabs, we are a dynamic pricing, we do dynamic pricing for vacation rental, short-term rental industry. We also provide various kinds of data so that you can look at what's happening in a market if you're looking to acquire properties or things like that. Specifically, it's fantastic to hear from all the operators about how do you go about building a brand. Where I wanted to focus on today was a little bit about how do you think about travel in 2021, and how should you, coming from that, we look at data and we look at pricing, how should you think about breaking down your calendar for the next couple of months and think about how should you price them, right? Of course, no one has a crystal ball, but you got to have some kind of thesis so that you can price your properties. And then, of course, as the market evolves, you got to go in and adjust. Starting there, I think we can high level think about this year into and break it down into three big segments. One, which is currently ongoing. By the way, actually, before that, let me establish there are two kinds of travel that is happening, right? There is international travel and there is domestic travel. There is very little international travel that's happening, and domestic travel is primarily happening in countries that are basically large countries, right? With like people where they can go around, for example, US, or even in Australia, I think some domestic travel is happening, or in Brazil, domestic travel is happening, right? But if we look at like the travel that used to happen, and if I compare that now and think about the three segments that I would break this year into, is the current travel that's happening, which is a little bit of erratic travel that's happening. There are lockdowns, there are restrictions, there are changes all the time. And so last minute bookings are the norm. And so as you think about your pricing strategies, you may really want to double down and think about, how do I get those bookings very, very last minute? There are going to be last minute bookings. You may not want to discount your prices too much. If your market's running high occupancy, if your market's running very low occupancies, you may want to discount your prices. Then in the midterm, which is like May, June, essentially middle of the year, I think some of the normalcy will return. Generally, summer season happens to be good season. I say summer, but for Julie, it's the other way around. But middle of the year season, generally in the Northern Hemisphere, tends to be a good season. And I think with COVID cases going down, with vaccine rollouts happening, I think we'll start to see more bookings come in during the middle of the year. And even we'll start to see some early bookings come in. And I think Bryndee mentioned, I might have missed it, but she said that they are starting to get some far out bookings for summer already. So that's the other thing that you need to think about, which is middle of the year, we will start to see travel happening, and with a little bit normalcy, not of course everything back to normal, but a little bit normalcy. And people will try to book those summer vacations or summer holidays in advance. So you want to manage your prices accordingly there. I do think that this would still be leisure travel. They'd still be traveling with families. This is all a hypothesis, right? But my guess is last year, a lot of people have exhausted their really close drive-by locations. So they may go a little bit further out. And so if you were not lucky last year, you might get lucky in receiving guests this year, right? So high level towards the middle of this year, I think the key change that we might see compared to what we have seen in the last 12 months is a little bit more planned travel. But again, it'll be more vacation rental areas, more of those family stays than cities is the hypothesis that we're going with. And so as you think about pricing, you think about, I should probably have my summer rates a little bit high, especially if I'm in vacation rental area, and especially if I saw a lot of travel last year. Then coming to later half of this year, there are a lot of people who have been now locked in for 18 months or so, or maybe a little more than 12 months, 15 months. And they have not done a lot of travel. These guys are raring to go somewhere. I think later half of 2021, the world will become more comfortable with COVID. Not necessarily will be like COVID will go away, but we'll become more comfortable with COVID. And we will start to see a few more travels, people getting more comfortable with the travel. Generally, fall season is not a busy season, but my expectation is that fall might be busier than we have seen in the past, purely because as people get comfortable to travel, they might as they get comfortable to travel, and because they haven't traveled, they'd want to travel. So really think about it in three chunks, which is what's happening now, what will happen towards the middle of the year, what will happen towards the end of the year, and think about your pricing strategies around that. How do you want to price? How do you want to make your properties available? Having said all of this, I do think like 2021 would still be subdued compared to 2019, but definitely a lot more planned travel than last minute travel towards the later half of this year. Yeah, Ina, hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, Richie, that's extremely helpful. And I have a question here. If you can share that stats, of course, do you see that your clients are raising prices since there is a sign of recovery, or it is not the case yet?
So very broad question, right? Depends on market to market and the kind of market that you're in, right? In some markets, we are starting to see recovery, and in those markets, we are increasing prices. Now, increasing prices is a weird term because we think of prices as each day has its own price. It's not a static price for the next 365 days, right? So each day has its own price. So very close in, like I said, if it's very erratic travel in your market, you may be under the market and you want to price low. But a little far out, maybe 9 months out, you don't want to keep prices too low, especially at least my outlook is, and it's a crystal ball, right? But my outlook is that with vaccines and people getting comfortable with travel, with COVID, there will be more travel. And so you don't want to price too low and book too early for the far out months.
Got it. Thanks, Richie, again for sharing all these insights, which really appreciate it. And basically, I was jotting down all the basic ideas that we shared today, and I wanted just to summarize the main trends that we, together with our great experts, discovered. And that would be knowing your target audience, building your brand, making your properties truly unique, getting last minute bookings, thinking thoroughly on your pricing strategy, catering to domestic travelers and workationers, also staying flexible as long as you can, and using the vacation rental software and automation tools for scalability. Those are the main that we heard today, and I think it's about time we can involve our audience, our listeners, and I do see that we have some questions here, and I see Lamesha Davis has a question. I will let you speak just right now. Hi, Lamesha, we are listening to your question now.
Hi, thanks for bringing me on the stage. I am the CEO and founder of Healthcare Travels. So our target niche market is traveling healthcare professionals. So during COVID, as you can imagine, the nurses were still going out to fill the hospital shortages and to be on the front line. So that's what we specialize in. And so I wanted to just make a comment and actually ask Richie, was he familiar with the space of where the traveling nurses are still traveling during COVID? So at the wake of COVID, you've seen about 30,000 nurses come out of retirement to head out to New York. So that's a space as well where they look for housing. And that's what we built our platform around. We were actually building it 2 years before COVID, but we had to speed up on the process, and we'll be launching this month. So I kind of wanted to know, with the panel of you guys, you're aware of this market, and do you house traveling healthcare professionals?
I think that was addressed to Richie, if I heard that correctly. Richie, can you?
Yeah. So absolutely. Like, there have been a bunch of people who have been catering to healthcare workers, especially. I saw a lot of it in the early few months of COVID, and then I've not heard so much of it. But generally, and I've seen this a lot in Europe, and not as familiar with how it's happening in US, but a lot of property managers were working with their associations, whether that's UK STR or within Europe, like Portugal's association, AVA, or someone, right? They're working with their associations to figure out how they could work with local authorities to get some of their houses provided to these healthcare workers. And definitely, like, especially like in uncertainty, like healthcare workers typically end up staying for a month or couple of longer stays, right? Couple of weeks to a month or maybe longer, which is may not be as profitable as, or maybe may not generate as much revenue as the traditional short-term rental business does. But at the same time, you're guaranteed occupancy, which is at this time very, very helpful, right? You have certainty of revenue versus a chance of revenue. So definitely, Ramesha, a very, very good market to be in. And I don't know if I don't have tips around how do property managers go about tapping into that market. I'm sure Bryndee, Julie, Jasper, these guys are more familiar with this. But yeah, and pricing that is a little bit of a difficult thing because there is that little bit of ethical question where do you want to price too high versus like they're doing good for the world. And so we haven't really gotten into pricing for that particular segment.
Okay, perfect.
I have a little bit of experience in it. Our Loma Homes brand specializes in the extreme ones. So within Loma Homes, we don't really hit the target, but I happen to have one other property that was a house that we had as a long-term rental that we turned into nursing. And it's worked out well because it's just a normal 2-bedroom small house that's like a perfect niche for a traveling nurse. And it's more profitable than having it as a long-term rental. And it's been pretty easy to keep it booked, but at the same time, it doesn't warrant the same prices as nightly rentals. So I think it just depends what you're looking for. There's definitely demand for it out there. And it's a lot less work than a full like vacation rental where it's changing every night or every week. So it's a good niche. It just depends what you want.
Yeah, and as you guys mentioned, the travelers are staying on an average of 13 weeks in the homes, and where we're seeing an influx of VRBO and Airbnb homeowners in those certain cities and states where the states are mandating that the 30-day minimum. So we hit that 30-day, and I think some of the homeowners in certain cities where the cities are making them obtain the permits, that's where we get an influx of homeowners that are being interested in the product. But it's interesting to hear you guys' opinions, and thank you.
Thank you, Lamesha, for the questions. Yeah, Julie.
Lamesha, I just think it's great that that you brought this topic up, because that is one of the future trends that I believe short-term rental industry will see in 2021 and going into 2022 is, the workers that have realised they don't need to be, not necessarily just the healthcare workers, but also just workers in general. You don't need to be tied to a cubicle anymore. I think COVID has really shown us that as long as we've got great internet, great Wi-Fi, we can work from anywhere around the world. A lot of office workers are now choosing to take their work to a short-term rental property and live in a beautiful location and be able to still work. But I think that's one thing that hosts in general on the short-term rental industry need to really understand and really adapt to, is that we are going to have professionals, healthcare professionals, or we're going to have office professionals that are coming to stay in our properties. They're probably going to stay longer term. They're going to stay and want to work as well as vacation in our area. So some of the host adaptations that I've seen in the industry is, that people are really making sure that they are making themselves aware of, they're making their amenities very much prominent on their listings by screenshotting their Wi-Fi speed, the download speed. And although you've already mentioned it in the description, put a photo of it. The other day I was talking to somebody, Lamesha, this is really, connecting with what you're saying with the healthcare workers, that they were providing for healthcare workers, and they were making sure that they had televisions in every room and that they had really strong Wi-Fis, because they knew when the healthcare workers got back to the short-term rentals, they just wanted to relax. They really wanted comfort. They wanted great beds, really high quality beds, and televisions and fast streaming services and Wi-Fi. So guys, make sure that your houses are set up for those things. And look, and even these days with the Instagram influencers, I have seen property hosts having ring lights guests as an option, as an amenity. So not only have you got a coffee maker, but you've got a ring light for your Instagram videos, and having an Instagrammable corner in your house. So look, I guess there's one of the future trends that some of us might not have seen coming. But Lamisha, all the best. Thank you for coming up on stage. It's so brave of you to do that. And anybody else in the audience, please put your hand up, because we are willing to answer your questions today. So thank you, Lamisha.
Thank you, Lamesha, and Julie, thank you. I love that Instagrammable corner in the house. Definitely every host needs to have that one. Do we have any other questions? Because we do have a great deal of panelists today. So you're very welcome to raise your hand and ask a question to any of the panelists we have. Yep, we do have Jesse. Jesse, I'm letting you in. Hi, Jesse.
Hey, Ina, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, I'm doing good. I've talked to you a billion times through the program, through the iGMS already. So I actually have a question. Maybe we were just in another room before we jumped in. We were talking specifically about iGMS. Can you tell us a little bit, for people that are transitioning into their own platform for direct booking, on how you guys can help that, or how you guys are helping on that level, and if there's any insight that you can give us as far as automated messaging and things of that nature?
Yeah, sure. So iGMS is not only working with your bookings within Airbnb or other platforms. We do work with direct bookings, and we do see these trends of direct bookings already for a year or so. So we have the tools that allow you to first of all get your direct bookings into the interface of our platform, and then automate messages for all of your bookings, no matter if they were made through Airbnb or they are direct bookings. Also, you can basically automate cleaning processes and everything else for your direct bookings via our toolkit that we do have for direct booking management. And what's coming quite soon, we will announce it later on, like in a month or even earlier. Direct booking widgets that will allow you to connect your website and also get the bookings from there and automate all the processes for them as well. So yeah, we do see this trend, and of course we cater to the needs of hosts, and we already have this functionality. And if you actually have more questions on specific tools, we do have our customer experience team, and you can address them via chat. They will walk you through all the tools that you can use for direct bookings. Yeah, Jesse, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it surely does. And just so everybody in the audience is, I've been using iGMS for a while now, and the customer service is by far my favorite aspect of that. I reach out to you guys via text or through the portal, and you guys respond back so quick. And I know that, as far as I'm a property manager, I know that a lot of people in here need to make sure that we have contact, quickly. And I'm thankful that you guys are able to do that for us as property owners, managers, Airbnb owners, superhosts, all that. So appreciate it.
Wow, Jesse, thank you so much for such a feedback on iGMS, and especially in our customer service. We do try to make this aspect really on top level because we know how hosts really need some help sometimes, and this business doesn't really can't really wait. And yeah, we appreciate you're using us and you're happy with the iGMS. And thanks for your question. And we're moving to Heather, who is also having a question. Hi, Heather. How are you today?
She hasn't quite come up to the stage yet, Ina. We'll try again to pull her up. But
let me try
there
again.
She is. There she is.
Can you hear me? Hi, how are you? So I currently have 22 vacation rentals on 6 different platforms, and I've been looking at Guesty, Hostfully, and a few others. What is your price comparison in amongst those? Because I take it that you're pretty much same type of platforms. Am I right?
Right, you're quite right. We are similar to Guesty and Hostfully. So in terms of pricing, you can visit our pricing page because we do have several pricing plans, and one of them is, for example, flexible when you pay just $1 per booked night, or you can sign up for a pro plan that would be $18 per property per month within a
And do
yearly
you,
subscription. Hmm.
yeah, and then do you
Yeah.
have like a setup fees on top of all of that as well?
No, which is quite great about our platform. We actually have a free setup session once you sign up. Our customer service team is going to walk you through everything and set up everything absolutely free. So that's another advantage of our customer experience team.
Okay, and then are you also able to integrate other platforms beyond Airbnb and VRBO, like out of the country platforms?
Yeah, we also integrate with Booking.com currently,
Uh-huh.
and other platforms can be easily integrated via iCal. So yeah, basically you can also integrate your direct bookings, as I mentioned to Jesse,
Mhm.
and pretty much everything can be done within one interface.
And then what about allowing my housekeeping services to log in to see bookings on certain days or my property managers on site?
Oh, yeah,
Do you
that's also available. Yeah, we
okay.
do have all cleaning automation tool set, and we also do have a property owners access when you can allow property owners accessing certain information, or cleaning managers also seeing just bookings and not seeing prices, for example. So it's all quite customizable, and you can make different permissions to different people who are in your team. So it's all customizable for you.
So if I update a property, does it update across all platforms or do I still need to go into each individual platform to update the property and pricing?
Um, as for pricing, that would be soon. You will be able to update pricing only on one side, and it will be done on all others. As for the listing itself, I believe we still need to do this
Okay.
in each platform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because as you can see, it becomes quite time consuming when you've got 22 across 6 platforms and trying to find something that is able to integrate across and play nicely would be great. It's been difficult.
Yeah, I know, but I'm pretty sure that no other tools are doing this automatically. Well, maybe I'm wrong, but still,
Well,
it seems like. Mhm,
there is one that's doing it, but I don't know how efficient it is.
mhm.
I'm not sure. It's outrageously expensive, so
Uh,
it's not an option for me.
okay, I got it. Well, any way you can address our customer experience team, and we can figure out what can be done in order to solve your particular problem.
Okay. The financials would be one of them because they're pretty expensive. You know, when you start
Right,
adding up, unit after unit, and then, a fee for this and a fee for that.
right. Well,
And $1 a night here and a something there, it just becomes financially, it becomes an issue. So,
I understand you completely. So, well, basically, our free setup fee can definitely help, and pro subscription, yearly subscription, or flexible plan can definitely save you a lot, and you will see how your productivity will increase, and you will see
all
some
right,
savings. I can assure this.
I will reach out to your customer service and take a look.
Thank you very much for your interest, Heather, and for your
Thank you.
questions. Thanks. We do have a couple more people here, so I'll ask Alton. Hi, Alton. Are you with us?
Hi, how you doing? Thank you for bringing me up. Um, I just
Thanks,
wanted to
Al.
say something about the iGMS. I actually went through a live demo last night with one of your representatives, and I'm telling you, the product is just awesome. You know that Airbnb enhanced cleaning guide that they have on the website, you can actually take that whole guide and add it to your house cleaning as a task for each item on the checklist, and make them check on their mobile device, whatever they have. They can actually check each box according to the task that you have provided for them and stuff like that. So it's completely customizable. It's the triggers, the checking in, the checking out for your customers, the reviews, everything like that. It's so easily movable and customizable that I loved it. I'm actually, when I talked to her last night, I'm actually set up the intake for Friday, and we're gonna go through all of that. We're gonna set everything up, and it's only $20 a month for 12 months. And now that I got the Club 10, I mean, you can't beat it. You can't beat it. That's all I wanted to say.
Wow, Elton, thank you so much for such an amazing feedback and another compliment to our service team. I'm happy that you love the product and definitely will be happy to see you among our customers. Thanks for sharing your feedback with us.
Awesome.
Okay, then we're going to ask Andrew to join us. Hi, Andrew. Can you hear us?
How are you? So I have a quick question. And first thing, I actually use iGMS for our platform, and it's incredible. So
wow,
I definitely do recommend it. So
thanks.
my quick question is, I wanted to know what separates the good property managers from the great property managers. So we're at a position where we're right at 10 properties. So I want to see what kind of takes you above that leap from 10 to 30 to 40 to 50 properties under management. Is it marketing? Is it branding? Is it community development? What's some things that you guys suggest?
What a fantastic question. Julie, can you share some ideas?
Oh, Andrew, you have asked the perfect question. And I'll tell you why it's the perfect question. Just this week, I'm going to be involved with two of the speakers that were up on the stage. I don't know where the boys have gone, but Eric and Jasper, who were up on the stage, the three of us are getting together to run a live event. It's a free live event, and you can get details of it on my profile. But Andrew, it is all about how to go from a hectic host, which is what we call someone who's running about 10 properties, because you're probably doing a lot of this work yourself. It's 24/7. It is full on, and how to scale up. And that's exactly the same problem that I faced. I was at 10 properties. I wanted to get to the 130 that I eventually got to. But I tell you what made the difference was being able to implement amazing systems, amazing strategies and processes into the business, and then finding the right team to be able to build up underneath me so that I could work on it and not in the business. And Andrew, I promise you, this is probably the most asked question all the time. How do we scale up? How do we look? I can show you all the different strategies of how to get more properties, but how do you be able to? How can you service all of those properties? So I promise you, it is the difference between a good host and a great. Well, you know what? And I don't even know that that's the right terminology, because I would just say the difference between a hectic host or someone who's running 10 properties and they've probably created a great job for themselves, but how do we get you to that next multi-million-dollar level where you've got a bunch of properties, they're working independent of your time and your efforts, and you've got a team running it for you, and you can replicate that success over and over and over. You need a great framework. You need the systems. You need to be able to put those systems in place, find the right team members, and then I tell you what, you are off and running. So, Andrew, I am going to follow you right now. So I would actually and I am going to make sure that, look, if you want to connect off Clubhouse, send me a direct message. I would love to see you come along to this free event that we are running, because we are calling it Host to Hospitality Brand, but it is all about how to scale up in this industry and how to do it well and how to not learn by your mistakes, which is exactly what I did. But Andrew, does that answer your question?
Yeah, that answered it perfectly. And I have a second question that I want to tackle onto that. So whenever it comes to getting past that 10 to 15 property range, I understand, like you said, a lot of the systems and processes are important, but was there any bottlenecks that you experienced I guess, in that initial growth phase that you wish you would have put certain systems in place or certain pieces of technology in place outside of the property management software, anything that people don't typically think about that are necessary in a business?
Yeah, absolutely, Andrew. I can tell you the one bottleneck, the one challenge that I faced, and I didn't figure it out right at the beginning, was to get on the same page as the property owners. And when you are onboarding a property and when you are taking them on, whether it's a landlord that you're doing an arbitrage deal with, a lease, sublease model, the master lease side of things, or whether it is a homeowner where you're taking on the property management of that property, which is exactly what I did. I ran the day-to-day, the logistics, and I was managing the process for homeowners. I wasn't getting on the same page. I wasn't putting it down in black and white exactly the services that I was going to offer, the fee structure, the cleaning and what would be involved in the cleaning. And it really, gosh, it caused some headaches. And I remember right back in the beginning, homeowners, I remember one lady in particular, she scarred me for life because she showed up to have a look at her house that I was managing on Airbnb. And of course, I hadn't cleaned her pool and I hadn't mowed her lawn. Well, to me, I was never going to do that, but I didn't put it in black and white. So I guess, that was a real learning curve for me. And I would say to anybody, make sure that if you're doing the property management model and dealing with homeowners especially, make sure you've got in black and white a very good property management agreement. And that is something that you should have all the contingencies in there, including what will happen with those future bookings if the property gets taken back off you, if the property owner decides to take back possession of that property. What's going to happen to the bookings that you've got in at Easter time or in summer. So you need to be able to make sure that you've got contingencies in there and put it in black and white right from the beginning. But that one is the one bottleneck, the one challenge that scars me, Andrew. Does anybody else, Bryndee or Jeff, even Jessie has got a fabulous property management, a whole bunch of properties. So would any of the panel like to add to what I'm saying to Andrew? Don't be
Bryndee, would you
shy,
like to
guys. Come
join
on.
the discussion on bottlenecks and how to become a great property manager?
Yeah,
Okay.
I missed the question. Sorry about that. I didn't hear it.
So basically, yeah, Andrew, can you please repeat it?
Yeah, so I was curious to, any bottlenecks that you experience in your initial growth phase, because I think, it's not too hard to get to 10 properties and kind of do it as a hobby and a side hustle, but making that second leap and getting to 30 to 40, 50 properties under management, was there any systems or processes you wish that you would have put in place whenever you were kind of in your infancy of your company, and any bottlenecks that you ran into almost where you were growing too quickly and you wish you had, a certain process in place?
Yeah, good question, Andrew. For me, we scaled down. We actually had over 30 properties, and we ended up scaling down. And the reason why we did that is because a lot of the properties were just very cookie cutter, kind of like what they were talking about earlier, those cookie cutter properties that just don't, everybody's seeking an experience now. And we realized that a year ago, even longer than that, actually. So we scaled down. And one of the things that I wish I would have done is maybe hired a VA earlier and really trained them in exactly how I do things. I think as you scale, you start to realize, and VA, for everybody listening, is a virtual assistant. You can hire in-house, you can hire overseas. Whatever works best for you guys. That's typically what I did a little bit later in the game, and I wish I would have did that earlier. I wanted to be involved with too much of what was happening on the day-to-day, and I think that I realized that as you start to scale, you need to back away from, not necessarily take yourself completely out of the picture, but you want to make sure that if you're not there, there's somebody there that's able to run your business just as if you were there. And I think training the right people for the right roles is highly what's going to scale you up on that, from that 10 property to 20 properties. And also relationships are super important. If you're connecting with investors now, or you're connecting with certain people, or you're connecting with property management companies that you're picking up their properties, those relationships are going to carry you into the next level. And just like Julie was mentioning, you're wearing a logo and you're at the supermarket and you run into somebody that owns multiple properties. You got to start thinking on a larger scale. Just something simple as, wearing a hat that has your logo on it. Somebody's like, oh, what does that mean? What is AirVenture hosting? And that's what I have. It's a logo of a Volkswagen bus, and people are, how the heck does that make sense to, Airbnb? And it's all about an experience and creating a specific niche. And I think finding your tribe is the best, aspect in that end. So I would highly suggest that you, you start marketing, or if you're not marketing to people now, you just kind of start, joining BNI networks, business network companies that are groups that are in your area. That's super important too. I think that you're able to, that's able to help out as well. And but yeah, just that virtual assistant, I think that was super helpful, or having somebody learn the process on how everything works, videoing everything that you do, so that next time you hire another VA, that they know exactly what is, how to scale. So exactly, you have a video for literally everything from iGMS platform to how to talk to guests, the interactions. So everything's documented in a Google Drive and in a file, so that once you bring these people on, you're able to scale quickly, and they don't have to have, that the crazy amount of training that it takes place to grow. I think that's what I wish I would have done earlier, and it's relatively easy to do. It's just putting the policies and procedures in place and kind of moving forward.
Thank you so much, Jesse and Julie, for sharing this expertise, and Andrew for such an awesome question. I think we can move forward because we have 3 more questions, and I think we have around 15 more minutes for the discussion. And I'll ask Nichelle. Am I pronouncing your name correctly, by the way? Is it Nichelle?
Hi, good afternoon. It's Nichelle. Thank you so much.
Nichelle, yeah, welcome.
Thank you. My question is, I actually have been in real estate for a long time, and I've done every type of business that you can do in real estate. I just got into the short-term rental, and we have acquired our first short-term rental Airbnb through arbitrage. And I'm curious as to, is there some type of benchmark that you should use as far as the pricing strategy, so that you know that you're coming out profitable? I already put in how much I expect to do daily as far as a 30-day rental, but we know that that's not going to necessarily always work out for 30 days. The area I'm in is really an kind of upscale area. There are local restaurants there. There's a pool. The residence itself has plenty of amenities, walking distance to different shopping venues and things of that nature. And I was just curious about a benchmark for how much you should spend to rent the place versus how much you profit.
Bryndee or Julie, do you have something, or maybe Richie, you have to say something about the question? Go ahead.
Hey, Nichelle, not sure if you've heard of PriceLabs. We integrate with iGMS directly. What we do, Nichelle, is we help you figure out how much should you be charging for each day. Coming to your question directly, there is no good rule of thumb, but some simple things that you could do is, if assuming you're listing on Airbnb, go into Airbnb and see what other properties are charging in general in that area. And once you've seen that, that is sort of your benchmark to see how much you should be charging. Just compare a few properties that look similar to you and see how much are they charging. Actually, I shouldn't say this. Never mind. I was going to say don't use a certain Airbnb feature, but I'm not going to say that.
Say it, Richie. Do it. You can do it, buddy. You can admit it. We all do.
But yeah, I mean, essentially the easiest way is for you to go in there and look at how much are other people charging and benchmark against that. If you want to try out PriceLabs, we do a 30-day free trial. If you're using iGMS, we connect directly with iGMS. If not, we directly connect with Airbnb too. And I know Julie was not using us. So
I wasn't.
We have other ways of how this can be done.
And can I admit, Nichelle, this is where I can confess, because we're a very small room of only 62 people. So we're an intimate little friends group. And I can admit that the biggest mistake that I ever made with my business was that I didn't use PriceLabs, that I didn't use any pricing software. And I now kick myself for how much money I may have left on the table. So 130 properties, $8 million income within 2.5 years. But how much more money could I have used if I had actually listened to Richie, jumped on PriceLabs, used iGMS, all these amazing tools and technology? I am such a technophobe. It's amazing I've even made it onto Clubhouse. But Nichelle, does that sort of answer your questions? I would be taking Richie up on that 30-day free offer.
I wanted to make sure I had the word correct. It's PriceLabs, PriceLabs.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
Okay.
And if you touch on Richie's, Richie, we need to do up your profile, buddy. But yeah, PriceLabs is where you need to go, and tell them Richie sent you, and Richie's going to do you a deal. That's what you should be asking for.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Well, to elaborate on that just a few more seconds, I know you got to go here. But in regards to the short term with that, I did go on Airbnb and I did do what you stated, Richie. What I'm seeing is that people have things sliced in half as far as prices are concerned, because they may rent for $149, but right now they got them like at 75 or 80. And I know it's just because of the market, because as a property manager myself, I'm seeing that fluctuation, but I'm seeing them increase. And I want to make sure that I leverage myself, because I don't want just any type of guests come into my property. I mean, to the place that I'm renting right now. I just don't want that, because they will literally kick you out.
Yeah. You'd basically set up some, like, absolutely right. You have to do some guest profiling in order to who do you want to let in and not let in. There are, of course, various ways to do this. There is the verification method that Airbnb does provide. But there's, of course, you want to have a certain kind of minimum price benchmark below which, it attracts the wrong kind of crowd for your house. Michelle, all of that is possible. Do reach out to us. I will update my profile as soon as I figure out how to. And then,
I'll help you.
Yeah. And then reach out to us and we'll help you figure this out.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I did sign up for iGMS.
Wow, thank you, Nichelle,
Congratulations,
for the question.
Nichelle.
And for signing up to iGMS as well. I hope you like both iGMS and PriceLabs. And that is so true. There are so many tools at the moment that hosts can take advantage of and scale their business. So definitely you should try them and see what's working for you. And I think that we have the last question here. And Reshma, you're free to ask your question. Hi there.
Hi, hello. Thank you very much for letting me speak. I'm actually coming from the angle of being a host. I've only got a couple of properties, and my question is, what makes a good management company to a great management company in the way for somebody who owns a property and is looking for a management company? I had a brilliant management company, but unfortunately they've stopped during the pandemic, and I'm struggling to find anyone that's anywhere near as good. And I was just wondering if there's any advice on how to find somebody who could fill those boots.
Reshma, I have a question for you. Where in the world are you? You sound like you're not in. Well, let's not assume with the accents, because we've got so many accents up on stage today. But Reshma, can you tell us where you live? That might be the first thing, and we might be able to even recommend you.
I'm in London.
Fantastic. And can you tell us a little bit about your properties as well?
Yeah, so they're more 4 beds and geared up for families and businesses. People working away from home, driveways, which is quite rare in London as well. So this coming period where there's going to be a lot of domestic travel, it's quite good for that as well. For people coming with kids and everything that comes with that as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Reshma, and the reason I ask is because we've got an audience full of amazing hosts, and I guess anybody who is in London at the moment who is a host, this is your chance. This is your chance to impress Reshma and see if you can win her business. But Reshma, for you, I would say to you, you need to make sure, you need to ask a couple of key questions of the property managers. Firstly, you might need to look at, just to sort of see what their qualifications are. Look, some people in the property management business are fully qualified real estate agents. And that was what I went down that route and made sure that I was fully qualified, fully licensed. And it certainly was very much a reassurance to my homeowners that the money that was coming in from the short-term rental industry was going straight into a trust account that I couldn't touch, and it was audited and it was looked after by legislation that was in Australia. But so you need to look at their qualifications. You need to look for I would be asking for testimonials from other owners, and I would be also looking at their reviews. So look at, from a guest point of view, what sort of experience do the guests get, and are the hosts onto things? Are they keeping the properties clean? Are they meeting and greeting people and seeing them in person? Because that's the other thing that I was doing very differently to a lot of other property managers, was meeting and greeting in person every guest, which sounds crazy, sounds nuts, but it was possible. So guys, anybody else on the panel that might be able to help Reshma out? Have we got any London property managers that want to pitch to Reshma? No?
I'm not sure. Yeah, no one from
silence.
London.
Well, the interesting thing is, a lot of the property managers here actually set up a new profile just for you. So there aren't any testimonials you can refer to on the website. They give you a calculator of what they think they can bring in, but my experience has been that they rarely actually pull in anywhere near what they. So there's no real. It's
Yeah,
quite
it is
difficult
tricky.
to gauge.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
totally get that, Reshma. And I think if you can find somebody who has got a website dedicated to property owners, and then some of them offer, that they have an owner portal so that you can actually be able to, you can tap in, you can watch the bookings come in live, you can watch the reviews coming in, you can monitor your property's progress as well. So I would definitely shop around. I'm just trying to think who I know in London. There are a couple. So what I will do is I will actually say to you, if you want to reach out to me, just direct message me on Instagram so we can connect. Let me just go through my network and see if I can find someone for you. But I guess, you've really, and I've just got a little message coming through from one of a property manager that I know saying, ask Reshma what she wants in a manager. What sort of qualities would you be chasing, Reshma? And this is really an interesting point of view from a property owner. What would you love to see in a property manager?
So what I loved about my previous property manager was, again, they met all of my guests in person, but they knew the house as well. So they knew where everything was. So as soon as somebody came in, they felt really at ease and were very quick to be able to assess what they would want to get out of the house. Also, somebody that when there are difficult guests, I love the way that they were just always really polite and always managed to make the customer really happy, and therefore always getting, turning those around, so sometimes getting repeat bookings.
I love that. What I would suggest too, Reshma, is I'm having a look at your profile at the moment. I would, while you're here right now, if you could actually tap onto your Clubhouse profile, type in those things. Just say, I am in London. I have got a couple of amazing properties, 4 beds, driveways. I am looking for a property manager, short-term rental property manager. but these are the things I'm looking for, and list them out in bullet point. Make people work for your business, because there are a lot of property managers out there all vying for the right properties and the right property owner, which you sound amazing. If you are in Australia, my goodness, watch out. And I'm getting another message from somebody on the Sunshine Coast in Australia saying, please get Reshma to come and buy properties in Australia. We love property owners like you. But look, Reshma, I would pop it on your Clubhouse profile. Put it out there what you're looking for. Let's connect. And if anybody else is in the audience right now, if you are a London property manager, put your hand up. We might be able to do a deal here in this room right now. So, but Reshma, thanks for being brave and coming up on stage. You're amazing.
Right, Reshma, thank you. And
Thank
Julie,
you.
I appreciate your help. And I think Reshma will be definitely in touch with you. And he will even help more. So we did have a great deal of questions. I'm really thankful to all our panelists who were answering questions today, and some of them were already gone, but still I'm really thankful to Richie, Bryndee, Julie, Eric, and Jasper, who have already left, but still were there. And I encourage our listeners to tap to Richie, Bryndee, and Julie to follow them, and also to follow the club vacation and short-term rental hosts. This is exactly where we are holding our event today, and it was quite a fruitful event, guys. So I'm pretty sure we'll have more events soon. I truly loved what we did today together. And I'm also open to any of your questions by email, or you can just DM me. Again, you can find any information in our bios, how to contact us, any of the panelists. And also, I will just quickly remind that we have a special offer for using iGMS today, and you can use a promo code CLUB10, which is also in my bio, and that will grant you 10% discount of your iGMS subscription. And that's it for today. I truly appreciate everyone who joined us, and I wish I will see you on our next events. Bye-bye, guys.
Inna, well done. You've done a fantastic job moderating this room. And guys, just make sure that you tap in with Inna, and also hit the little greenhouse at the top of the screen so that you can follow the Vacation and Short-Term Rental Hosts Club. It's super important, because the more people in that club, the more we can notify you of events. So, but Inna, thank you so much. Richie, it was great to see you. Jesse, and everybody else that's in this room, some familiar faces. Thank you for putting on this event, Inna.
This was really cool. I now get the charm of Clubhouse. And by the way, I did cross 26 followers, which is amazing. Nowhere.
Wow, congrats.
Richie, you're up to 27 now, and you've got a profile. I'm so proud of you. You get the badge of honor.
Thank you so much for pushing me to make a Clubhouse profile, Julie. And Inna, thank you so much for having me here. Really, really appreciate this.
I truly appreciate you came today. Also, Julie, we are amazed that you're so excited. We're excited that you join us at 3 a.m. That's fantastic. Absolutely.
It's now 4:30 a.m. In Australia, but I actually see there's a couple of other Australians who have tuned in. So, Inna, you must be a popular girl, because people from all over the world are waking up to listen to you. So, so thank you very much.
Thank you. We are a really great panelists, I believe. So thank you all, and talk to you soon during our next events.
Thank you, everybody. Julie, good luck getting to sleep.
Thanks, Jesse.
Yep. Bye-bye.